This is probably the best driver in the world when it comes to getaways, but arriving on his latest mission to pay off his debts, he had no idea that once he enters this world of crime, the only way out is with both feet in the accelerator. What's up, Mr. Caveman here, and today I will summarize the movie Baby Driver, an action and thriller film released in 2017. So please subscribe and leave a like, and now let's get to the video. We start by seeing the group of robbers made up of Baby, Darling, Buddy, and Griff arriving in front of a bank. Baby is the group's driver and stays in the car while the other three grab some bags and go there. And then while his partners rob the bank, Baby stays in the car enjoying the vibe of the music on his headphones. Soon the bank's alarm is triggered and the trio leaves after getting the money. Without wasting any time, they get in the car and it's time for Baby to shine, showing what he knows. The guy quickly gets out of there, doing several insane drifts and curves while running away from the police, at the same time as he listens to quality music on his headphones. Griff is on her side and is clearly not used to such dangerous driving, but Baby seems to be in an amusement park, so he gets rid of some police cars using his maneuvers to pass through alleys, cross vehicles, and even use the agents' traps against themselves. The problem is that a helicopter starts chasing them, but Baby doesn't give up, so he goes to a busy avenue where there are two red cars side by side. They enter a tunnel, and Baby overtakes to stay on the left side, throwing another car into the middle. As soon as they come into view again, the helicopter continues chasing the vehicle in the middle, giving them the chance to escape along the side lane. Then the group almost runs into another car, but that doesn't lead to anything, and they manage to get to a garage, where they abandon the red Subaru and get into another car. Sometime later, Baby walks down the street enjoying the good sound on his headphones. He goes to a cafe, gets 4 coffees, and returns to where his group is hiding. And of course all this to the sound of some great music, because the guy has great taste and the scene is very well directed, as the director had the incredible idea of using the music playing on the young man's headphones as the soundtrack, so it's something very harmonious with the scene. Upon arriving at the hideout, Baby distributes the coffees, while Doc, the head of the operation, counts the money and distributes the parts of each one. In addition, Griff seems intrigued and wants to know more about the young man. After all, he is very peculiar in his way of acting. But Griff is insufferable, so at the same time he goes to Baby, takes off his glasses and his headphones to fill his patience, and asks if he has any problems with his head or something, just for being quiet and involved in crime. Because for Griff, Baby thinks he's better than all of them, but the others don't think so and ask the guy to stop being annoying. Then after being even more unbearable and threatening to beat the boy, he decides to leave him alone. After that, the group takes an elevator to leave, and in that elevator, Darling and Buddy make out, creating a very strange atmosphere. However, as soon as they are leaving, they act very nice and suggest that Baby not take the next job. But that doesn't seem to be possible, because when they arrive at the parking lot, Doc and Baby talk about a debt that needs to be paid off. After all, the boy is only in it to pay off the blessed debt. So Doc gives the money to the young man, gives him another prepaid cell phone, and even gives him a driver's glove as a gift, saying that they will soon be even. After that, Baby returns home, takes the pile of money, and puts it in a secret compartment under the living room floor that is already full of money. We see that he lives with his adoptive father, Joe, who is watching the news. After turning off the television, Baby asks if the guy is hungry, and Joe replies that he is always hungry. Baby then gets busy preparing breakfast, and meanwhile, Joe spots someone who looks like his son on the news, being wanted for robbery. And then when Baby brings the food, Joe questions where the money came from, and the boy promises he'll do just one more job before calling it quits. But Joe doesn't like this at all. Later, when Joe falls asleep, Baby gets bored and decides to create a song based on a recording he made, until Baby remembers a car accident that resulted in the death of his parents and sees his mother's tape on the shelf. Deciding not to relive those memories, he takes his phone and leaves. After that, the boy goes to a restaurant called Bo's Diner, where a girl enters singing a song with the lyrics Baby. The boy likes it and decides to record this moment. He is so focused on his recording that he doesn't notice Deborah approaching. Soon after, she asks his request in a friendly way, and they talk very closely until Baby's cell phone vibrates, interrupting the conversation. But the boy ignores it, and the two discuss their desires and dreams. And then while they were talking, the cook interrupted them, and before leaving, Baby praises Deborah's beauty and asked about the song she was singing. Soon after, Baby buys the album with the song and dances excitedly at home, something that makes Joe happy with the young man's change. At that moment, Baby is called up by Doc for a job, which is theoretically his last, but I doubt it will end like that. There he meets the new team made up of a tattooed Asian, another crazy person who shouldn't last long, and bats. The three seem to have doubts as to whether Baby can really drive and be aware of his surroundings using headphones all the time. But Doc speaks well of the boy and gives his guarantee seal, so the three sit down and the boss begins to explain how the operation will be in the following day. However, at the end of the explanation, Bats shows even more doubts about the young man, as he seems to be joking during the explanation. That's why Doc questions Baby, and he starts repeating everything that was said before, word for word, showing that he's not a fool as everyone thinks. The next day, the team goes to the designated location and prepares to do the work. And in this part, there is an incredible scene that needs to be said. In the original plan, the 3 robbers were supposed to wear Michael Myers masks from Halloween, but the buyer made a mistake by getting masks from Mike Myers, an actor from Austin Powers, and this scene is too good for me not to mention. But anyway, the plan is carried out and the thieves get the money, but 2 problems occur. The guard is finished and a vigilante appears out of nowhere shooting the guys. And despite the tense confrontation, Baby makes the most of his driving skills and manages to escape epically, using a wall as support to do something that not even Toretto could do. The problem is that even after arriving on a highway, the man continues to chase and threaten the gang's escape. Then, in an attempt to eliminate the threat, Bats tries to shoot the pursuer. However, Baby interferes by throwing the car into another lane and managing to escape. Since the guy tries to imitate what Baby did and ends up overturning after all, not just anyone has the young man's dexterity. Soon the group gets stuck in a line of stopped cars, so they decide to approach the car ahead in the traffic jam, and Bats takes control of the vehicle, completely ignoring the fact that there is a woman with a newborn in the car. Luckily, Baby manages to hand the child over to the mother. Then the light changes to green and they speed off. The problem is that while they are in the car, the tattooed Asian comments that he forgot his shotgun. Let's say this is a huge problem, but they quickly arrive at a parking lot, change cars, and split up. Soon after, the group arrives at the meeting point in different cars, and Bats takes the opportunity to question whether Baby made him miss the shot on purpose, and Baby even tries to lie, but he's terrible at it, and Bats notices, so the man just advises him not to be soft-hearted and tells the young man to go buy coffee. However, he is not as excited as last time, as there were victims in this robbery, and upon returning to the hideout, he discovers that the Asian man has disappeared permanently because of his mistake. Then, Baby and Doc take the bags to the car. Doc hands him a bunch of money and states that he has now paid off all his debts. However, as a last task to complete, he must eliminate the vehicle with the Asian's body, which is quickly done with the vehicle being crushed and crushed. But seeing this, Baby has visions remembering his mother singing, and the moment she gave him his first iPod, as well as the fights between his parents and the accident, which brings him back to the present. Okay, it may seem simple now, but it certainly won't be that easy to get out of the world of crime. Baby should already know that since he's been in this field for a long time. There's no way a person can just get out of this, so from now on the guy should have thoughts about how he could disappear from the map. Then he selects a song on his iPod, removes his gloves and glasses, and leaves, going to the restaurant to meet Deborah, who is already at the end of the day. There she says that she will serve him before leaving, and then hearing that the girl is leaving, Baby asks if she can come along, which surprisingly works out. Soon Baby sits down to wait, and Deborah's colleague, seeing that the two get along well, comments that she believes the boy's mother used to work there. Deborah quickly approaches him, hands over the coffee, and starts a conversation. The two talk mainly about music, and Deborah demonstrates her singing ability by taking the young man's recorder, and the connection between the two is evident. Furthermore, they introduce themselves properly, since until now they didn't know each other's names. Deborah questions directly if his mother worked there, and he responds that sometimes yes, but that she was also a singer. Hearing this, the girl asks what his mother does now, and Baby briefly responds that she doesn't do anything else because at that moment, the young woman's boss interrupts the conversation and calls for her. Then, the two go to a laundromat and Baby shows her a song in which the main character's name is Deborah, and she really likes it. The conversation between them continues and the two get to know each other even more. Baby talks about the ringing in his ears that he acquired in the accident that resulted in his parents' death. She also talks about how she took care of her own mother before she was dragged away. But anyway, seeing that they get along very well, the two schedule a formal. Later, Baby goes home and shows that he is very happy. He briefly talks about Deborah to Joe. Furthermore, he puts the last amount of money in the hiding place and informs Joe that he has finally separated himself from this world. At that moment, Joe advises him to look for a job as a pizza delivery man, saying that this way he could bring joy to people while driving. Baby agrees and goes in search of work, which he easily gets, and the first customer he delivers a pizza to is surprised by the speed of delivery. And because of this, Baby is also very happy. Then he returns home and counts the money while Joe makes an observation since now the boy can get some money without putting other people's lives in danger. Then Baby and Deborah go on a date at a fancy restaurant and take advantage of the moment to get to know each other more and flirt a lot. However, the atmosphere changes when the waiter informs that the bill has already been paid, and Doc is the one who pays. Seeing this, Baby excuses himself from the girl and looks for Doc, who unsurprisingly calls him for another job. Initially, Baby refuses, but Doc threatens him, saying he would break his legs and harm his loved ones if he refused. So with no options, Baby has no choice but to agree, which drastically changes his mood. And this change is noticed by Deborah. When she arrives home, she tries to talk to him, but Baby can't explain what is happening and says that she was the best thing that happened to him in a long time. Debbie understands the dilemma and just kisses the young man without putting pressure on him. That's what I said before. Once you get into this type of scheme, it will be practically impossible to get out. After all, you know how these people operate. Criminals would never take the risk of letting someone off easy and then leaking information about their schemes. That's why Baby should have taken the money she saved during that time, bought a car, packed her bags, and left with Joe and Deborah. After all, there's no way you'll be found if you disappear from everyone's sight. The next morning, Doc arrives to pick him up and they go to the post office, even though work is scheduled for the next day. Doc still needs Baby to go inside to obtain information about the place, such as the number of customers, employees, and security cameras. Whether the guard is armed, in short, everything that is relevant, and so as not to arouse suspicion, Baby will take the guy's nephew. However, the boy's presence proves to be even more important, because inside Baby ends up getting nervous and losing track of things, until he is woken up by the little boy, who had already observed everything and informed him about the location's details. Then with everything done, Baby buys some stamps from the legal attendant who gives the boy candy and leaves. Back in the car, he shares the information with Doc, who takes him home and shows that he knows everything about the young man's life, even telling him about Joe, making a kind of subtle threat. After that, Baby calls Deborah so they can talk a little. He informs her that he's driving again against his will and that they won't be able to meet. In addition to also said that he would like to hit the road and travel with Debbie, who also seems to like it. Afterward, Baby meets up with his current team consisting of Bats, Darling, and Buddy, who are always together. The team exchanges some barbs with Bats, talking bad about Darling until she leaves. Then Buddy approaches Baby, and the two establish a connection, as they have the same taste in music and vehicles. But seeing the two guys become friends through music seems to irritate Bats, who believes that a stereo isn't necessary to drive. But Doc arrives and interrupts the conversation, and as Darling has already returned to the table, the boss begins to explain the plan for the robbery at the post office, in addition to presenting the tools needed to bypass the security cameras. Furthermore, the group will use new weapons to carry out this robbery, so they will go out to get them, and as they will have to act very early the next day, they will have to spend the night there. After that, the team heads towards the place where they will get the new weapons. Bats end up asking to go out and they stop the car, and Darling takes advantage of the man's absence to tell Buddy to fix Bats after work because he looked at her strangely. Suddenly, Bats appears there with several stolen boxes of gum, and they go to the shopping shed. When they get there, Bats gives Baby a gun and tells him to be prepared in case something happens. Soon they meet a small man dressed entirely in white and another grumpy henchman who is having an argument with Bats. But the discussion is interrupted by the presentation of weapons, as the man in white pulls out a cloth revealing a wide variety of weapons. And contrary to what it seemed, this ends up not being a simple transaction. When Bats fires the first shot, the situation quickly turns into a shootout. Baby barely escapes being hit as Bats saves him. The team manages to eliminate the men without any serious problems, apart from Darling being slightly injured, but this enrages Darling and Buddy. Luckily, Bats manages to justify himself by saying he noticed the police acronym written on one of the boxes, as well as a former inspector who arrested him in the past. However, while they are arguing, one of the men gets up and tries to drive away, but Bats, Darling, and Buddy shoot him, after which Bats throws a grenade at the car in which the man tries to escape. The group escapes in a different car than the one they used to get there, without knowing that one of the enemies still appears to be alive. I think one of the most important things to do in this situation would be to check if all the enemies are really dead. After all, 50 Cent survived 9 shots. What guarantees that someone won't survive one? The guys were lucky that this man wasn't in a position to shoot them by surprise, otherwise he wouldn't know who could have been injured. During their escape, Bats asked them to stop at the Beau's Diner because he is hungry. At first, Baby refuses and says the food there is bad, but Bats doesn't handle the refusal well and makes Baby stop the car one way or another, and clearly everyone there realizes that the boy has a reason for not wanting to go there, which only intrigues them even more. As soon as they enter, Deborah is excited to see the boy, but soon realizes that Baby is visibly uncomfortable and that something is wrong. They get a table, and Deborah arrives to take orders without giving the impression that she knows the young man. When Deborah moves away, things get even more complicated, as Bats starts to irritate Buddy by talking about the guy's past, and the possible reasons why he entered the world of crime. And seeing Buddy's expression, Darling tells Bats that he may think he knows them, but he's completely mistaken. She says that Bats may think he's crazy, but he's still far from being like Buddy when he's mad, mentioning that he goes blind with rage. But Bats doesn't care about this and makes fun of both of them. Suddenly, Deborah returns with the drinks, and as she walks away, Bats asks Baby if he knows her, and then upon hearing this, Baby completely denies it. However, Bats doesn't quite believe it and takes out the gun to go after her, which causes Baby to intervene. Seeing this, Bats says to tip the nice waitress well and then leaves, followed by Buddy and Darling. So Baby goes to Deborah pretending to give her a tip, but he gives her a note with a plan for them to escape together. Afterwards, the team returns to base and Doc mentions that he did not receive the code from the traders to confirm the deal. Hearing this, Bats says that the sellers were police officers and lies, stating that they shot first. And then to show that they weren't wrong, Buddy says the same. However, this justification doesn't convince Doc, since the police officers worked for him, so the guy cancels the job and orders everyone to leave the city. Obviously, this doesn't make any of the robbers happy, and Doc wonders who will handle the money orders since the group shot at the shoppers. And luckily, Buddy knows knows a guy who could do that. At dawn, he wakes up just before 2 in the morning and tries to sneak out. However, Buddy appears in front of the car and questions the boy about where he is going. Baby makes up an excuse saying he's going to get coffee, but this answer isn't very convincing. Buddy questions Baby's reasons, asking if he's just in it for the thrill, if driving is just an escape for him or something. He even suggests that Baby go and not come back if he's going to back out tomorrow. And well, I'm sure which is exactly what the boy wants. However, to ruin everything, Bats appears there asking what is happening, and he also shows that he has the young man's recorder and plays the recording of the previous conversation, questioning why he recorded the conversations. Bats hold a gun to Baby's face and asks if he's a cop. And as he's already witnessed how Bats treats police officers, the poor guy gets shaky trying to explain that he records conversations to create music from them. They ask to hear one of the recordings, but Baby says they are all at home and that the house is a long way from the hideout. And then, knowing that this is a lie, Bats knocks the guy out. And sometime later, Baby wakes up seeing his tapes on the table. Doc asks Baby for an explanation, but all Baby can think about is Joe, and asks what they did to his father, at which point Bats appears with Joe's wheelchair, a worrying sign. But as he needed to prove to others, he plays a remix tape of Doc saying he was slow. Seeing this, Doc chooses another tape called Deborah, in which it was Deborah speaking. This makes Darling realize it's the girl from the restaurant on the tape, and Bats questions why Baby previously said she didn't know her, wondering if he was talking about them to Deborah or Joe. Doc gets angry and orders them to take Baby back and fix him, as he will find another driver. But Baby doesn't accept this and claims that they don't need another driver, as he has participated in every job since they met, and tomorrow he will be the one driving. This determined attitude pleases Doc and saves Baby's skin by putting him back at work. At the same time, Deborah is in the restaurant patiently waiting for Baby, who won't show up. The next day, the team arrives at the post office. Buddy and Darling stop at the entrance, while Baby and Bats go to the back. Bats gets out of the car, and Baby waits until he sees the clerk from yesterday approaching the post office and waving at him. At this point, Baby shakes her head negatively, kind of implying that she shouldn't go to work. So she walks away and comes back with a police officer. The problem is that at that moment, the rest of the group appears, and Bats shoots the police officer. After that, they get into the vehicle, but Baby remains still thinking about what just happened. Bats keeps yelling at him to drive while Baby is just staring straight ahead. Then suddenly Bats threatens to shoot him if he doesn't move in 3 seconds. Then Baby presses the accelerator and collides with the truck in front, which causes Bats to be impaled by some iron bars and lose his life. Due to the crash, the trio quickly leave the car and start an argument in the middle of the street. However, before they know it, the police are everywhere, and Buddy and Darling exchange gunfire with the police and soon join Baby in running away. And here it becomes clear that Baby is not only agile behind the wheel, but he is also quick on foot, given the distance he covers in a few seconds while doing parkour. And it's not Tabate, it's real parkour. After running for a while to avoid the police, Baby enters a shopping mall, changes his clothes, and tries to act naturally, but is unable to fool the police, who spot him and continue the chase. Anyway, he arrives at the parking lot and manages to break into a car, so Baby uses his skills as a thief and makes a kind of keyless call to get out of there. And well, when Baby was about to leave, he collided with a truck, and to his surprise, the people in it were Darling and Buddy. They get out of the truck and try to get into Baby's car, but the police are already positioned to stop them. Seeing this, Darling opens fire on the police and is shot, which makes Buddy furious and causes him to shoot everyone, including Baby. The boy tries to drive away but is unsuccessful, so he grabs the bag of money that had been thrown into the car and starts running. He even tries to get his iPod, but Buddy shoots the device, and with no alternative, Baby runs away and approaches an elderly woman to steal her car. However, he doesn't leave immediately, as since his iPod is gone, he needs to tune into the right song on the radio before moving on. This leaves the lady faceless until he finally finds the right sound. With that, he starts the car, returns the bag to the lady, apologizes, and goes home. As soon as he arrives at the apartment, he finds Joe lying on the floor, and the house ransacked. So he takes his money, puts it in Joe's coat, calls the Beau's Diner, and asks the cook to tell Debbie that Baby is coming. He hangs up, grabs one of his several iPods, and carries Joe to a new car, as the ladies had already been located. Afterward, he takes Joe to a nursing home and records a message narrating Joe's story and talking about the things he likes. At that moment, a department helicopter Atlanta police appears up there. Luckily, Baby manages to leave without being seen. After that, Baby arrives at the Beau's Diner, but when he enters the restaurant, he finds Buddy with a gun. The guy sees an image of Darling on television and says he loves her. Then he asks if Baby loves Debbie, and when the boy says yes, Buddy prepares to shoot her. But at that moment, a police car arrives outside, which prevents Buddy from shooting. However, when one of the agents just goes to the bathroom, Buddy signals Baby to sit next to him. And then he puts on one of the boy's headphones and starts listening and singing the song that was playing. But when Buddy interrupts the music to end everything, Debbie's colleague arrives there and catches his attention. And since he's not stupid, Baby takes advantage of this and shoots the guy. As a result, chaos ensues quickly and the couple runs out the back door. Baby tells Deborah that he needs to leave, but she insists on accompanying him and they leave together. At the same time, Buddy pretends to be in a bad way and shoots the police officer who came in there. After leaving the scene of the shooting, Baby and Debbie go to a phone booth to call Doc. But Doc abruptly hangs up and then Deborah suggests that they leave. But Baby says he needs to get something first and then it will be just the two of them, the music and the road. But since they didn't have any of that yet, Baby goes to a red car that was near them, pulls out the gun, and tells the two guys to get out. At first, the men don't believe that Baby knows how to use a gun, but they soon give up and leave. Furthermore, as he needed a rhythm for driving, he didn't give his cell phone back to his owners. The couple leaves and soon arrives at the parking lot of the thieves' hideout. Baby approaches Doc and asks for the tapes. Doc initially refuses to hand them over, but Baby insists, saying that he would exchange one of the tapes for all the payment orders from the robbery, in addition to appealing to the emotional, saying that they are a duo. This still doesn't soften Doc, but when Deborah enters calling Baby, Doc changes his mind when he sees the love between the young people, and finally allows Baby to take the ribbons. He even goes down with them, and in the elevator he encourages them to move forward with this love, handing Baby a bag of money, saying that it should be enough to live on after crossing the border. And the reason for this kindness is because Doc was also once in love. But when the elevator doors open, they are greeted by 3 henchmen armed to the teeth. Doc advises them to flee and stays there to exchange shots. However, Doc is shot when he's distracted, checking Baby and Deborah, but Doc asks them to run away as the police arrive. The problem is that it wasn't agents in the car, but Buddy, who goes all out on Doc and brutally runs him over. And as if that weren't enough, he reverses and completely crushes his body. So Baby sees a chance and picks up a key on the floor. He also takes a gun and stands in front of the elevator, pointing it at Buddy, who wastes no time and accelerates to run over the boy. But Baby jumps over the car and makes Buddy hit the elevator, getting stuck. Taking advantage of this, Baby and Debbie take the bag of money and get into the car. As they run away from Buddy, who has already managed to free himself from the elevator, it becomes clear that even though he's driving in reverse, Baby is a much better driver than Buddy. Soon the couple arrives on another floor, quickly gets out of the car, and hides in the shadows to come up with a plan. When Buddy arrives with the car on this floor, Debbie catches his attention, and Baby appears out of nowhere hitting the car. But it's not over yet, as Baby gets out of the car quickly, and Buddy shoots a guard there. Baby appears in another vehicle with Debbie and starts pushing Buddy to the edge of the parking lot. And despite Buddy trying to shoot the lovebirds, the vehicle is still thrown from above and falls to the ground. Seeing this, Baby gets out of the car and goes to see the police car below. But Buddy appears there and points the gun at Baby. He says the boy took away something he loved from him, and so he will do the same. What Buddy takes from Baby is his hearing, as he used the sound of the gunshot to explode the boy's eardrums, who falls to the ground in pain. Then he turns to shoot Deborah, but before that happens, she surprises the man with a crowbar, causing the gun to fall to the ground. And then, while Buddy hits Debbie, Baby takes the gun and shoots the guy, who falls from the top of the parking lot onto the vehicle that explodes into flames. Baby ends up passing out, and sometime later when she wakes up, Deborah is driving and listening to Baby's mother's music tape. However, as soon as they arrive at a bridge, they end up finding the police blocking the way. Deborah even tries to get out of there, but Baby breaks the car. He tells Deborah that she doesn't belong in this world, gives her a kiss, takes the car key, and leaves with his hands up. Then the police approach and arrest him. After that, Baby is taken to trial, and as he was a good boy, Debbie, Joe, the forum attendant, and the lady in the car give their testimonies about how Baby helped them and treated them well, whether it was stopping them from losing their lives or apologizing for doing something they didn't want to do. After hearing all these things, the judge sentences him to 25 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 5 years. Then Baby is taken to prison, and we see him doing cleaning work inside and receiving letters from Deborah, who is anxiously awaiting his freedom. By the way, Baby's name is Miles. Hey guys, what did you think about Baby Drive abilities? Tell me in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next one.